Okay, Fritz Lang, Luchino Visconti, Chamorro, Tennessee Williams, Roberto Rossellini, Olivia de Havilland, David Lynch, Francis Ford Coppola, Sophia Loren, among others, and now Ruben Östlund. Please come. Weren't you very nervous when you looked at the lineup, when you said yes to be the president of the jury?
No, but I was very proud. First, I thought that okay. I didn't expect it to be this early. I didn't expect actually to be asked to be the president of the jury at all. But so I asked for 1 day of thinking about to accepting it. But it was an easy decision to accept it. And I think that what you're most nervous of when it comes to this event, it's probably that you have to stand on a stage and talk, and you have to be like representing Cannes Film Festival in some ways. And I had just done 1 year of press for Triangle of Sadness, so I felt okay, I'm prepared to take that part of the order. And then it's also, of course, about like trying to lead the jury and create the good dynamics in the group. And I have been doing a couple of president jury missions before.
Have you seen the painting made by the very famous French artist of you, Oll, O-L-L-L? And
yeah, I saw it because you posted something on social media. But yes, I don't like it that much. I'm sorry.
I happen to know the price. It's 28,000 euros. So that's it's a little bit too expensive for the Swedish Film Institute to buy. But then since you don't like it so much, then we're not going to buy. But you were, I mean, the first years you were really, you walked by yourself and you could stop everywhere without being recognized. How is it today?
Well, it is like this. You know, there's a number of autograph hunters out there in basically all of these different festivals. And if you do like I do, I go always and I write my autograph. Then they slowly disappear during the festival. So in the end, there's like no one that wants to talk to me anymore. And so I have realized it's smarter if you want to look cool in front of the other jury members that you don't write autographs every time, because then they're coming back in the later of the festival also want another autograph. But no, but it's. I can walk this way, but there are people stopping me and want to talk to me and so on, and that is fun, of course. That is fantastic. And yeah.
Among all the films you have done, what are they wants to talk about most? Is it Triangle of Sadness? Is it the Square, or maybe Play?
So they want to talk about Triangle of Sadness, Force Majeure, and the Square. Yeah, I would say that these are the three films that have made an impact on the international arena for me.
I mean, it was unforgettable when you sat in a Salle Lumière last year and they gave applause for the just vomiting scene. I've never seen anything like that before. And but you have been to some gala screenings now. What about the reactions for the recent films?
The films that we have been watching here.
Yeah.
Well, the Cannes audience can be kind of harsh. They can be very they are not easy to please. So that's why we also were very happy with the reactions on Triangle of Sadness. But it's also, you know, there's a certain suspense when the curtain goes up in Lumière when you have one of the competition films. People are really like sitting on the edge of the seats and are really focused on like what is this film going to be. So it's a really good concentration always when it comes to the competition films. And the same thing I felt this year. Very few people have left the cinema. It's always like always someone that have to leave the cinema. They are going in and checking, is this something I want to buy, or is it something that I should focus on? And then they rush to another screening. But on the two screenings I've been to, there have been very few people that have been leaving. And I think also it's interesting when you look at the competition films this year. I think basically all of them, the origin of these films is in a post-pandemic or a pandemic world. So they are written, and the origin of the ideas for the film came out of the pandemic world. I can't say that is like the general feeling that I can put on the films yet, or that I can sum up something that it created with the films. But it's going to be interesting. That aspect is going to be interesting to see. If there's going to if there's some kind of concentration, did it happen something these years when people were in our bubble a little bit more? When these creators were creative, then they were much more in the bubble than the previous year. And it was a difference definitely between Triangle of Sadness. Triangle of Sadness were written before the pandemic, and so that is something that I'm curious about.
Talking about writing, it's always interesting to talk about directors, auteurs, about the process when you're writing. Can you tell us where you are you sitting and writing on the, or maybe standing, on the same place as you did with the video early films?
But I write a little bit everywhere, and then what I do for me it's very important to be open with the process. I like to tell everybody I meet about the idea that I'm working with. So I would like to tell to you now a little bit. Well, the thing is, when I've been traveling around with Triangle of Sadness and you do a lot of press, then you have to find something that gives something back to you with the next project. And then I have been pitching during this year. I've been pitching The Entertainment System is Down. And The Entertainment System is Down is my next movie, and it takes place on a long-haul flight.
Yes.
So you can think of a flight, maybe London to Sydney or something like that. 20 hours, 21 hours. And quite soon after takeoff, the passenger gets the horrible news that there's a problem with the entertainment system. When the iPads and the iPhones are charged out, we are going to have modern human beings that is completely used to distract ourselves on our individual screens. They are doomed to analog boredom.
Yes.
And it's going to be, once again, like a sociological study to look at our behavior in the body of an airplane. And I have to tell you about two psychological experiments that I heard about that I'm going to include in the film also. One is called The Challenge of the Disengaged Mind. When they have asked test persons to go into a room and sit on a chair and do nothing for 6 to 15 minutes. The experiment was not longer than 6 and 15 minutes. And when they interviewed the test persons afterwards, they described it like it was horrible, that they couldn't stand it. And some people were even saying they were comparing it with torture. So the scientists, they added a feature, and it was that the test persons that went into this room, they could push a button and give themselves an electrical shock if they wanted to. And this electrical shock was very painful but not harmful. And 2/3 of the men were pushing this button. 1/4 of the women were pushing this button. And one man was pushing the button 190 times.
Yes.
So I think it's something fundamental about us human beings, that we hate to be alone with our own thoughts.
Yeah, yeah.
We want to be distracted. And that's why this little gadget that we have in our pocket is so efficient and have had such breakthrough the last years. And I now have an idea how I'm going to create the biggest walkout in the history of Cannes Film Festival. And it is when the plane is up in the air and we have the passenger that they realize that, okay, the entertainment system is out. Then it's going to be a little brother that wants the older brother's iPad. So he's like going, can I have the iPad? I want the iPad. And the mother is like, no, you have to take turns.
Yes.
And he keeps on nagging about it, and the mother goes, you know what? Now, I take time, 10 minutes, now you just have to sit and accept being bored. Yes. And it would be like the mother is actually talking to the audience in Lumiere, you know? And so if we have had a rhythm of the film that is dynamic and interesting, all of a sudden we land in a real-time shot. And quite soon the audience will realize, oh my God, he's not going to cut. Or we're going to sit here for 10 minutes. And it would be so beautiful if I can constantly remind the audience about the yes. experiment that I'm going to introduce to the audience in the beginning. So the goal is to not only win the Golden Palm again, it's also to create the biggest walkout in the history of Cannes.
Oh, we're really looking forward to that. There you have also, I mean, your production company that you founded with Erik Hemmendorf way back in 2002. You celebrated 20 years last year, and now you have a really exciting project because you have put so many interesting directors and you have educated them, and there are two really interesting. It happened also to be favorites of mine, Maximilian Fanatic and Axel Danielsson. And they have made, and the King said, oh, what a fantastic machine. And they have been very successful at the Sundance Film Festival, but also at the Berlin Film Festival. And now, since you're so interested in the audience, how they embraced the cinema, so now you have created a new project. Please tell us about it.
Well, it's a platform production that I produced it, and I'm an executive producer, so it's Maximilian and Axel's movie. But I think it's a very interesting movie. It's actually about the history of the camera. So from the camera obscura until these times when we are using the camera in the digital world. And there's so many interesting aspects that is brought up in that film. For example, today it exists 45 billion cameras in the world. So in 200 years, from 200 years it went from 0 cameras to 45 billion cameras. And of course our behavior when it comes to the camera and how we are expressing ourselves and how we are using the camera have changed like radically with the digitalization. And so it's looking on the technique of the camera, the tool of the camera, and how it changes our behavior and in which way it affects us. And I think that there's so many aspects of why this film is important today and why I like to talk about it. Like if you look, for an example, on the next generation that is brought up now all over the world and in Sweden. Back in the days, that generation was watching Bolibompa on Swedish television. And then that was the biggest audience that was what like the center point of what they're watching. Nowadays, there are 14-year-old influencers that have a bigger audience than Swedish television's Bolibompa. And there are 14-year-old influencers that is in the hands of the tech companies that have algorithms that it's not necessarily want us to think, but that it wants us to keep on watching. So we have lost control over what images we want to bring up the next generation with. And so all of a sudden we are in a world where we are looking at more images than ever, but we are reflecting less than ever on the content that we are watching. And the cinema, that is also an aspect of a fantastic machine. The cinema is a place where we are sitting next to each other, physically in one room. And that makes it a little bit dangerous to be an audience, because someone can turn over to you and ask you, what do you think? So you have to make a standpoint. You have to reflect on the content on a different way. And this is like the unique part of the cinema. That is the cinema's unique selling point. And we are talking a lot about this in Cannes Film Festival. I'm talking a lot about this with Iris, that is the president, and Terry Frumeau. We are talking about like how do you develop cinema culture? How do we manage to create a vital, interesting culture, so people understand, there's a unique quality with this room. And Fantastic Machine, we often put up great goals for ourselves with the films, like okay, we set up the goal that we want to be in competition in Cannes, etc., etc. But there's an even greater goal with a Fantastic Machine that Axel and Maximilian have, and it is that they want all 9th graders in Sweden to watch this film. They have the goal of like before you are quitting or finished with primary school, you should watch this movie. And I think when you see this movie, I think you will understand why it actually is a good idea, and that is something that we should try to work together to reach.
Yeah, and it's already sold to so many countries. And when Ela or Emily, when will we see it in Sweden?
September 1st. September 1st.
September 1st, that's soon, yes. We are really looking forward to that. Yeah. It's fantastic that you embrace the cinema so open in your speeches. And let's see now. Okay, we have 11 minutes more of Ruben before he is going to the Palais. Have you any questions to him? Yes, Mikael.
Can I do it in Swedish? Får jag svara svenska?
Ja.
Ruben, vad är din åsikt om den här debatten som uppstått här på festivalen om Johnny Depp och hans medverkan i filmen festivalen?
Nej, men jag går inte in och diskuterar den så mycket. Jag tycker att det är liksom hur kan förhålla sig till det. Det får vara deras. Vi bedömer alla tävlingsfilmerna på lika grunder. Så vi går inte in i det. Det var ju dessutom en öppningsfilm, den var inte med i tävlan. Men jag kommer inte kommentera den.
Men kan man prata om det? Kan man tycka att kan man skilja på personen och konstverket?
Ja, men personligen tycker jag att vi har ju ett rättssystem. Jag tycker att det har funnits jättemånga bra saker med liksom de här debatten och stormarna som har varit de senaste åren. Men jag tycker också att rättssystemet måste kunna avgöra det. Och det är inte kan filmfestival som ska avgöra det.
Är det jobbigt att det blir en distraktion för ert arbete?
Nej, det har faktiskt inte. Vi har inte fått så mycket frågor. Jag vet att någon annan i juryn fick de frågorna, men det var amerikanerna får de frågorna mer än jag får.
Jan Göransson?
Du som är intresserad av gruppdynamik, har du lyckats styra juryn och göra som du vill att de ska göra? Och sen undrar jag också, har Dennis Menochet konfronterat dig med det faktum att du nobbade honom för Triangle?
Ja, men det var väldigt kul för att han sa bara så här: du gjorde helt rätt när du kastade Zlatko Buric för den rollen. Han är ju helt fantastisk. Så att det har vi fått ur oss liksom. Men när det gäller de här jurygrupperna, det är liksom... Det är ju jäkligt spännande där, alltså hur får man dem att rösta på den filmen som jag vill ska vinna? Och det handlar ju verkligen om hur man presenterar olika saker. Jag är mästare på att få människor att tro att de har presenterat den filmen som de sen röstar på. Så att vi får se där i slutändan. Vi har inte haft några jurymöten ännu. Så vi har vårt första jurymöte ikväll. Och det är då man kommer känna av vad det är för några, vilka det är som är starka spelare den här juryn. Men jag sett det lite som min uppgift. Jag tycker en sak är kul om man lyckas få till. Det tycker jag man ska försöka få till i biografkulturen i allmänhet. Att folk inte försöker vara så smarta när de ska hålla på och försöka hitta hur de vill formulera sig. Så när man börjar prata om en film, då är det mycket roligare och det är högt i tak och man får säga dumheter eller vad som helst. Så småningom kommer vi fram till hur man vill formulera sig kring filmerna. Och ibland när man är sån här jury, då känner man att folk försöker toppa varandra i att säga de smartaste formuleringarna. Och då blir det så tråkig stämning. Ja. Så att jag tänker att jag har pratat mycket med honom om det. Kom igen, försök inte vara smart. Försök inte vara filmkritiker nu när vi sitter här. Nu har vi varit och tittat liksom. Sen kan vi komma fram till filmkritikernas formuleringar liksom. Men och en annan sak är ju liksom att om det blir konsensus är det ju helt olidligt att vara en jury också. Det är som att sitta och säga vilket fint väder det är idag. Så man vill att de ska stå för olika saker. Och de kommer ju från väldigt mycket olika delar av världen, den här juryn. Och är olika personer. Vissa är lite blyga och andra är väldigt sociala och framåt och sådär. Och då måste man få dem som kanske är lite blyga, måste man säga: kom igen, jag ser att du sitter och tänker på någonting. Nu får du säga vad du tänker på. Och så kommer jag så också att när man har de här jurymötena och genomgångarna, att då turas man om att börja. Så att liksom, alla får börja och säga vad de tycker om filmen vid olika tillfällen. Så att det inte blir några personer som styr agendan.
Yes,
fråga. Vet du hur många som kan kommunicera med varandra utan tolk i gruppen?
Men det kan alla. Ja, och sen så får vi en tolk mellan franska och engelska med oss också. Om det är någon som vill.
Ni behöver inte sitta och ha liksom en som är från Ryssland och måste ha en tolk och en från Italien som måste ha en tolk.
Nej, utan alla pratar engelska. Ja, det är ju jätteskönt verkligen.
Yes, excuse us for not speaking English, but we can help you to give an English summary after this. So, Marcus?
Yeah. Yes, I can say English. Yes, I want to continue to talking about your next movie. So is there something more you can say about your new movie, and also have you any actors that is attached to the new movie?
I can't tell you that, unfortunately. You know, there's one big reason why you can't talk about those things today. Because even if you meet an actor that you think, come on, we can do something really, really great now. They have an agent there that is like listening, and then, so now I can really push up the numbers here in the salary for this actor. So it's kind of interesting. I think that this agent system have made like the creative process completely different. And one of the aspects of that is that when I'm trying to get an actor, even if we have decided, let's do this, then it's going to be discussion between the production and the agent and a lawyer, and you know, and sometimes the agent is not telling the truth to the actor because they want them to do a series instead. So it's something that comes with, like, economy has such an influence over the industry that it affects the creative process. So yeah, so the pitch. I can tell you the ending of the film. The film will start with a sign that says flight number da crashes and everybody dies. So we will reflect all the trivialities that is happening on the flight. You know, the passenger gets very upset when the entertainment system is not working, and they get even more upset when they're offered a compensation. There is a cheese sandwich and a mineral water. And then I think it's fun to mirror the fact you're going to be dead soon. Don't complain over a cheese sandwich and mineral water.